Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And what you're looking at is an older Kohler engine, right? It's a K181T. And if you decode that, K I guess stands for Kohler, 18 is 18 cubic centimeters, the 1 stands for 1 cylinder, and the T stands for recoil starter. This engine came off of, one of those Carnival ride go-karts. Friend of mine, Charlie, bought the whole go-kart. Just look at the size of the clutch on here. I mean, it's huge. It's probably close to 8 inches across. Anyway, belt drive. He's recently dug the go-kart out of the buckwheat, and I've had this engine. It's a good thing I've had this engine because the go-kart wasn't treated all that well. This engine's going to be in much better shape than the go-kart is. Anyhow, he got it just like this. Obviously the carburetor is off of it, so you could look up the serial number on eBay, and it's easy enough to find a carburetor for it. These cost less than $20. And it's actually a pretty good copy, right? It's not a Kohler carburetor for sure. The problem is it comes without this tube coupling, whatever you want to call it. So I got a cable, as in cable TV splice, and that's what this is. I drilled the center of it out where the coax cable would go through. I kind of softened the threads up a little bit. It's made out of brass. I put some, pipe tape around it. I ground the threads off this side and smashed a hose on it. And now we have a carburetor to go on this thing. Last time I checked it, it was sparking. So before, wait a minute, this carb, hopefully this carburetor goes on it. It might not. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to smash this carb on it, and hopefully we're going to get it to start. Then I can transfer it back to Charlie, and that's one less item in the garage. So I put the carburetor on, no big deal, 2 bolts, easy. I did oil the gasket just to make sure I have no vacuum leak at the intake. Next thing, I got a nice new carb. It appears as if I have compression, but homie's got no spark. And if you're familiar with these, the points are off to the side here, and you guys could see, right? I'm kind of growing stuff in there, right? Never a good sign. So we got to clean that up. The other thing is, when it comes to points, you want them to open and close. These are manual points. You have to open them and close them yourself. Your only trick is to get the right rhythm with the engine. So I obviously have to clean these up and make sure that that push rod, right, you can see it right there, that runs off a cam on the crankshaft. I have to make sure all of that is working. The capacitor's right here. This was disconnected, but I have the feeling it was disconnected when they took the whole thing apart. Not quite sure what all this... Oh, that's for the fuel pump. We're not using that. I do have to leave it here, because if I don't, some bad things are going to happen. Or maybe this is to cut off fuel. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. I'm not using that. I'm just going to flow fuel directly into the engine. So let me clean these up and see if we can't get the spark back. Well, it's time for a cold start. The spark came right back as soon as the points were cleaned up. I put a couple of drops of WD-40 on the pivot for the points. The cam pusher was moving just fine. So anyway, spark is back, carburetor's on. I put some gas into it. and let's see if it wants to start. This thing is a bit tough to pull, the rope that is, and not unexpected. These engines have the tendency to have a pretty long stroke, so given that, right, you gotta pull the string to get through it, and well, I'm going to try it with the choke open. A lot of these engines like to flood. Ooh, almost. Wow. Gotta love those old cast iron beasts. She runs nice. I think to shut it off, just touch this. Here we go. So I can call Charlie up, tell him to get this, come get his engine, and maybe I could talk him into let me shoot some footage of the cart once we put it on there. The cart, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with a bunch of the old carnival rides. You actually drive the cart, and there's this kind of rail in the center, and you can kind of steer it such that the rail is not steering it. Like, you can't hop it over the rail and run away with the cart or anything. The other thing is they're going very, very slow, like, you know, walking speed. The only good thing about them is they used to have these bumpers on them, and if you were lucky enough to have somebody slow in front of you, you know, you could get going, you know, at a fast walking speed and kind of come up behind them and give them a pretty good thud, which, you know, ramming people is always a lot of fun. I have not seen these rides at any amusement parks recently, though I don't go to them all the time, but yeah. I remember they had these at Disney, and that was Disneyland out in California, not World. They called it Auto World, I think it was called. So, anyhow, we'll see if we can't get this back to Charlie, and we'll see if we can't get some videos out of him on it. He might not want it back until I put a throttle on it. Charlie's amazing when it comes to cars. When it comes to small engines, he hates them. He's kind of the reverse of me. I could work on small engines all day, every day. And when it comes to working on cars, I just dislike it. I can, but I just dislike it. As a matter of fact, have a couple of projects that I'd love to vendor out between the gas leak in the Ranger and the alternator in the Suzuki SX4. But, you know, such is life. Anyway, enough talking. Time for another project. I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.